Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of Unplugged with Rose. Today, we will be discussing customer experience, and my name is Rosalind Miner. I'm your host for the evening, and I am the founder of Akamuran Consulting Limited. Today, I am joined by Daisy Owiti. Daisy is a lady who wears many hats. She is the founder of Covara, which is an insurance agency. She can provide you with all your insurance solutions. She is also the founder of Pacho by Daisy. I call it a little piece of heaven based out in Awasi, Kisumu. She is also a coach and a mentor. And last but not least, she is a certified CX specialist. Welcome, Daisy.
Thank you, Rosaline. I hope that you can all hear me. I'm really excited to be here, but most important, very grateful for this opportunity to just, demystify what customer experience is all about. Thank you.
Brilliant. So before Daisy uploads the presentation for tonight, whose topic is customer experience is everyone's job, I would like to share some statistics. And we have statistics between 2024 and 2025, whereby 86% of buyers are willing to pay more for a great customer experience. One in three customers will leave a brand if they lose, if will leave a brand they love after just one bad experience. Companies that lead in customer experience outperform those that don't. And CX drives over one third of customer loyalty more than brand. So, as you can see, customer experience is vital for you know the engagement that you provide as a brand. And Daisy, I invite you to upload your presentation on the CX, and we can then commence this conversation.
Super. So you'll just let me know once you're able to see it.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I will just take it from here, Rosaline. When you're ready, you will let me know.
All set to go, Daisy?
I sincerely apologize for the glitch. I'm not sure what you've picked from the chat, Rosaline, but I'm hoping that. What are you seeing from the chat?
So we have one who has advised, I think customer service is the assistance I get from my provider, while customer experience is the overall feeling that the provider leaves with me. And then we have another very interesting insight from Eddie, who says customer service equals to solving. So
Mhm.
over to you,
I'm
Daisy.
liking, I'm liking all the conversations. Clearly, people understand experience is about how you make me feel. It's the
Mhm.
ease with which you either operate an app for a particular product or service. It could be the trust you get when you're using um, could be a product, could be another service, could be even just your relationship manager. You trust your relationship manager, how she makes you feel. She makes you feel valued. She makes you feel important. You're just not a number on the database. So it's the whole vibe. It's from when I walk into a shop or into a bank. It's how you make me feel. So the experience is not a moment, whereas the service is a moment. The service could be I need assistance with my bank reconciliations, or there's something wrong with my statement. I walk into a bank and I need to be sorted with a problem. So it's a service, it's a moment, it ends there. But experience is always from the start. to the very last end, and it continues. Experience can be a lifetime, it could be a short time, depending on the product or the service that is being pushed to the customer. So this next slide just shows us what I've just explained. um, Customer service is basically the help you get when you have a problem, when you have an issue, when you go to your provider or to your shop, whatever it is, when you have a question or a complaint. This is seeking support for a challenge or a problem or a bad experience, and you just need help with solving whatever problem you're dealing with. That's usually customer service. So it's a moment, and experience is how people remember how they interact with your brand. Is it pleasant? Is it difficult? Is it challenging? So, and always as human beings, we remember what or how people make us feel more than what people do. So I think if we just relate it to how people interact and how people remember how you make them feel, that is the experience. And service is basically a moment. It's a very short, brief interaction. It has a main purpose to solve a problem, and it ends there. Rosalind, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add on to that as well.
As you mentioned, so customer service are the various critical, customer experience are the various critical touch points that we have from start to finish. I think from a HR perspective, what CX is to an organization is what I would say from a HR perspective is employee experience. So from how you attract that talent, the talent acquisition process, the onboarding process, when they're in the organization up until their exit. So CX is not, you can apply CX in the various facets of within the organizational structure. So from an HR perspective, I will look at it as EX, employee experience, and those are the critical touch points. How does someone feel, having interacted with a certain brand? And I couldn't agree more with, the insights that you've already shared, Daisy.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't know if we understand why customer experience is very important. Maybe just we could invite the audience to probably just share also in the chat why they feel customer experience is important. Even before we go along, if there's anything anyone is putting in the chat, if not, we can just proceed.
I think we have a comment here, which is customer service is all about solving, equals to solving, and customer experience is about building.
Correct.
Very spot on inside there, Eddie. And it's critical. Yes, experience you're building from the various touch points that someone is interacting with a brand. And when you talk a brand, it can be my brand, a Camorano, it can be Daisy's brand, Covara or Pacho by Daisy. What is that experience that you're having when you are interacting with the said entity?
Correct,
Daisy?
correct. Indeed, yeah, it's all that. And I think the most important thing whenever we are interacting with our customers and providing solutions for them or providing services to them, the most important thing to remember always is the importance of not only a good customer experience, but the importance of the overall experience. Yeah, because we all do know that when you have a good experience, it translates into returns either for your business, translates to retention. I think one of the hardest things, of course, is to gain new customers, and it's easier to retain the customers you have because you already have a working relationship. You just need to improve on the challenges or any problems they might be experiencing. So it's a continuous um, what would be the word? It's a continuous loop where you are constantly finding ways to improve the experience. It could be through surveys, it could be through mystery shopping, just so that you can be able to understand what that customer journey looks like. So we do know that when I say customer experience matters, it matters because loyal customers are always the ones who will make noise about your brand. Loyal customers will refer business to you. Loyal customers, when they have great experiences, are actually the best ambassadors for your brand, for your product, for your services. So not only will it not only does it translate into business retention and revenue, but it also just translates to a strong brand presence. And we all know today social media is the biggest ambassador for your product or for your brand. And your brand could be an individual brand. We've seen cases where individual brands that are not managed or do not have a proper strategy on how to manage their individual brand can go south. So brand reputation is a big deal in today's world. Um, and yes, good news spreads very fast, but bad news stinks and it spreads equally as fast, if not like a spiral ball. So I would say CX is important because it ensures that we're always on toes so that I do not want to be in social media for the wrong reasons, for the wrong experience, because it can bring you down so fast, Rosaline.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if I was to give an opinion from a HR perspective, I remember of a post some time back on LinkedIn about a senior member of of an organization decided to send an application for the role that he was having. They were recruiting and he was qualified for it, and he decided to send in an application. And interestingly, he found himself getting a regret. It just gets to tell you that sometimes when you do not understand, what the client expects of you in terms of what the deliverables are or what feeling they will get as they interact with your brand, it can be very frustrating to the extent that you have to make their life easier. You have to make them want to come back to your brand. So, from an HR perspective, if someone is going to be applying for a role, it should not be, for example, the system asks you upload your CV. Automatically, you would think it will automate and fill, the fields that are there. But then you will find there are systems that will still want you to fill each and every tab of that, say application, and which that actually just leaves you with a very bad taste in your mouth because it's frustrating. You're just repeating what you've already uploaded. So from an HR perspective, how is it that I can make the EX, those critical touch points, be it talent acquisition, be it performance management, be it employee relations, how can I make those touch points ensure that my customer, which is the employee, they will walk away feeling not only heard, but also they are understanding of why, XYZ is happening or why such an XYZ process flow has been implemented. So going back to, CX for what it is, when it comes to organizations, as you very well put it, Daisy, mystery shopping and going to see where, whenever you receive this feedback from the various surveys that you put out, where are people finding it, being a headache. You walk into a supermarket today, you knew or you are very much aware where you get your things. Then you walk in today and you find the supermarket has changed the aisles, and where you used to pick your loaf of bread is on the other side of the supermarket, and you wonder who thought that was a good idea. All of a sudden you're now spending more time within the supermarket trying to find an item you just used to walk in, pick, and walk out. So
Mhm.
as we, even as organizations, as we continue to improve whatever it is that, a certain process flow, may we think of the end user, the user experience, that customer that is going to come and interact with the brand, with our brand. How do they feel, or how are they walking away having experienced the brand? Daisy?
I really like additionally that you've added onto employee experience, because we see that as a new front as well in the customer experience space, where employees employees experience overall is also um, something that is now getting attention, something that is now getting priority in organizations, because also internally, our employees are also our customers. So, very important. And I like that you've touched on employee experience, because it is also one of, I would say, one of the main considerations for any new staff who wants to join an organization, or a staff who's leaving, or a present uh, contract staff or long-term permanent staff. That employee experience is also quite important at the workplace. And we've also seen cases where experience is also now a new frontier. So people are keen to have a good patient experience. I'm sure you've been to MPSHA, I would say, as my one of my really one of the hospitals that I would actually commend for a good patient experience. In terms of when you walk in, they are already managing your expectations. On the wall, they've already put communication that tells you how long you should be at the triage, how long you should actually take from when you walk into the hospital and when you leave the hospital. So that patient experience also very important. So I'm just adding on to what you've said and agreeing with you that employee experience, patient experience, customer experience are all new frontiers, and people are big on experience. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you and I have had have had the pleasure and privilege to work in the insurance industry, the most fun industry that can be very ill. You can have misconceptions about the industry, because a policy only has its absolute value when a claim is at hand. So if I'm to look at the customer experience or the customer journey for an insurance client, I have to look from the angle of, you know, the interaction I've had with them when they were selling me the policy, how clear the the policy terms and conditions were explained,
Mhm.
the enrollment process, the onboarding process, how fast or slow was I handed over from, for example, business development to my relationship manager? What is the turnaround time whenever we are communicating, be it on email, be it on phone? And if I have a claims experience, and a claim can be a reimbursement claim, or, for example, a hospitalization claim for medical cases, all those critical touch points will determine my perception or understanding or otherwise of the brand itself, because I would be relying on say the insurance company or the insurance broker to give me a seamless experience when it comes to insurance. And not since I'm speaking to you and you get to see this on a daily basis, what are some of the challenges you encounter from a CX when you look at your clients? What are those things that frustrate them and they wish that improvements could be made?
I think you've touched a bit on it, but most common cases of bad experiences, of course, at the point when we are selling health insurance or whatever type of risk that you are selling to your clients, and it's a case of mis-selling. I think when most agents are in the market, their main agenda is to make money. When if your agenda is to make money, then you forget to actually explain to the client or the customer what they are purchasing. So the first frustration that most clients always end up with is they do not even understand what they purchased. Yeah. Simply because an agent is driven by the commission. And I think if we were to change how we sell, so that then we are creating a good experience, then I think maybe starting with explaining the not so good, the exclusions would be the right way to start, because we all know if we don't like to read the fine print, and the fine print is always in exclusion. So can we probably start with, demystifying the exclusion, so that then by the time I'm purchasing this risk that I want to cover, I actually understand what is not covered, vis-a-vis selling what the benefits are, or what is covered. And why I would say let's start on the reverse is because simply we don't like to read, and we know that if we hide things in the fine print, as Africans, we just don't like to read. I know, don't kill me, but that's usually the misconception. So that would be one. Um, Again, the most important is always claim settlement, and that's where the experience goes south. Why? Because it is in delays, it is in complete denial, or it's in complete, maybe partial payments. So if we could manage customer expectation better and just explain the process of claiming at each, and I like that you use the word touch point, because experience is about touch points. It's when you sell, it's when I'm handed over to that relationship manager, it's when I have a claim that I want to claim. And the a good insurance policy is tested when you can actually pay out claims. Yeah. So I think if we started there, we would be able to change the narrative that insurance is a con. So explain the exclusions, how they affect your policy, and then that way people understand what are those blind spots. And then, of course, still as the purchaser of a policy, it is your responsibility as well to, understand what I've purchased. So read a bit on the fine print. I always challenge my clients, in as much as I'm taking you through and I'm your consultant, part of owning your policy is also understanding what you've purchased. I don't know if this makes sense, Rosaline.
Absolutely. Um, the key thing here is where are the highs and where are the lows, and how clear and succinct have you explained to whoever you're interacting with, for them to be aware, because failure to that, it can lead to a negative experience. Or if you handle it very well, then the client is going to walk away fully understanding of what they are getting themselves into. And this is not just limited to insurance, it's pretty much everything that we do. If you have a clear understanding of what you're getting yourself into, or in the process flow, if you're going to start from this desk and the end of the process is at Y, when you're fully aware of what you need to do, what is expected of you, then it should go rather swiftly. It's like, even as you mentioned earlier, patient experience. When you walk into the hospital, the customer service desk. So when you start the interaction there, and then you go to registration, then triage, then you go see the doctor, you might end up having lab works done or not. Depending on what is going to be done, lab works or imaging, ultimately you will find yourself at pharmacy before you walk away. So all those are the various touch points, so to speak, when you're on a hospital setup. There is the insurance setup, there is the employee experience setup. Each and every interaction we have with a brand, you know, is critical. If I can bring it closer home, let's take our public transport system in Kenya. We have a lot of matatus, public service vehicles. And depending on one, the brand of the PSV, the interaction with the tout, the cleanliness of how that brand is known or lack of,
Mm-hmm.
the discipline they will have or lack of it as you commute, and by the end of it, or when you're exiting that PSV and getting on with your day. So those are, I mean, those are the various someone may ask, so what is the touch point when it comes to public transport? Everything has a critical touch point to a customer. So back onto the presentation. And
I
we have touched, matters of what is customer experience, the difference between customer experience and customer service, and we've had a nice broad, conversation of the differentiation between the two, but also how that applies to us on a day-to-day, aspect. Daisy.
Super. Let's stick with the word touch point, and we take it now to the next level where we say why CX is everyone's job.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you might want to just get what the audience feels. Why is it everyone's job? I think as I take you guys through this, I would also just want to say, think of it in terms of when you think experience, why it's supposed to be everyone's job. It's everyone's job because you used repeatedly the word touch point. Touch point means it's from when I walk into the gate of this facility. How does the watchman greet me? How does the receptionist greet me? Am I just a number? Does she call out a ticket number? Or does she actually say my name when she meets me and welcomes me into the facility? Um, how does the CEO respond when there are escalations? Is he nonchalant or is he, very um, empathetic? Because human beings, we love empathy. We love people who make us feel important. And if someone does not want to make me feel important, I will not take my business there. So why customer experience is everyone's job is because in today's world, all touch points are important. Be it an email, how you respond, are you responding respectfully? Are you using exclamation marks and you do not know that exclamation marks is shouting? Are you minding your P's and Q's? Are you dotting your T's? So it's important that we understand it's everyone's job because everyone collectively is generating revenue through all these touch points. If the watchman is rude, that's business gone, or that's bad social media reviews for your product or for your service, and eventually it's a brand disaster. So I would say that today more than ever, people need to understand that CX is everyone's job. It's no longer confined to just a department. In the past, it was a select department, which was the customer service department, that was responsible for solving issues and problems and service issues. Today, we no longer have just a department concerned with solving problems and providing solutions for challenges. Today, we see customer experience actually sitting on the board. It's among it's not only sitting on the board, it is also finding its way in the corporate ladder where you find the CTO reporting to the customer experience, the chief customer experience director. And why? Because all those touch points from branding, from marketing to call center to sales to cleaning, all those functions, all those touch points, all collectively are customer experience. So today more than ever, customer experience is everyone's job.
I couldn't agree more. And maybe if I can, reflect on some practical examples. Whenever, say, back in the day, if someone could go to hospital, the nurse would be busy asking you what brings you here today, your medical history, and you would have to repeat your medical history every single time you showed up at the hospital. And the thing that would go through your mind would be, don't you guys keep a record of, my medical history? And over time, courtesy of technology, in this
Mhm.
world of digital transformation, when we have three key pillars: people, process, and tech. So through technology, CRMs, these are systems where you have that engagement with your client. And the beauty of a CRM is that if I am to call, so for example, if I was to call, say, a bank call center, if I had called in the morning, they will have recorded it, they will have put notes in the CRM. And because I will not meet the same customer agent, they will review the information and they will not have to ask me all over again what my need is. Now that is what we used to have in, back in the day when it came to hospitals. Nowadays you will go to the hospital and, you know, they will know if you normally go to a certain hospital, and it doesn't matter if it's the main hospital or their outpatient centers, the system is integrated and they can actually tell the last time you visited, what your diagnosis was, what treatment you received, etc. Now, back in the day, you would have to repeat each and every, I was here 2 days ago, I saw, cannot even remember the doctor's name. Now, when you bring it home now, when it comes to customer experience, those are the critical things, because when you are unwell, the least thing you need is someone asking you your medical history. All you want is to get treated and go home. Yeah. If you're an employee, the what you expect from your employer is that you don't need to be going to the HR department to ask about your leave day balance. You should have a HR system, management system, that you can view your leave balance, you can do your request for leave on there, you can do your performance management, and you can actually view the feedback from your line manager from there. So when you talk about these touch points, it is what is bringing in the value and what is not working out.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the comments, and Eddie has made a comment on CX, as CX isn't a department, it's a mindset across the whole team. And I couldn't agree more. The same way
Absolutely.
we talk about growth mindset, I think we will start talking about CX mindset. CX is mindset, because if, for example, I'm having a bad day and I walk into the office all grumpy, if someone calls me, how I receive that phone call will determine how that conversation is going to be. If I pick it up all grouchy and say good morning, then the person on the other side will be, okay, this is not going to go well. And all of a sudden, their attitude towards that conversation is not going to be positive. But if I pick that call in a nice, friendly manner, good morning, this is Rosalind Miner, how can I help you? Then someone will be, okay, this person is actually willing to listen to me. It doesn't matter if it's just because of the tone you used or how you received it. It actually brings about a positive perception of how that interaction will be. So yes, CX is a mindset. It is applicable to everyone, from, say, in an office setup, from the one at the gate to the receptionist to the person coming to interact with the client, and even walking away. All that will determine the positive aspect of it or otherwise. Daisy?
Yeah, I think at this point, I would just like to maybe throw a spanner in the works. And if the audience could just tell us, let's have some real conversations about your customer experience in Nairobi. You've had that Uber ride or the Bolt ride, or maybe it's an Boda, Uber or Bolt Boda. I personally have really had nasty experiences with the Bolt Boda. It could be a
Mhm.
Matatu, maybe the M-Pesa ladies, you know. Let's discuss. Maybe they can just put something quick in the chat. And I just need to plug my laptop as we see what everyone is saying. Rosaline?
Yes. So everyone, kindly share, your experiences, your CX experience. Is it when you went to a shop and you wanted to do an M-Pesa transaction? And in the Kenyan market, we normally have jokes around when it comes to people that have attitudes. So they will make fun of M-Pesa ladies, or say in a hospital setup. Sometimes there are nurses that are not very easy to interact with. So what has been your experience, be it M-Pesa, hospital setup, um, say public transport, bank, you know, think out loud. What are the positives or even the negatives? Let's have, both ends of the divide. What has worked for you, what has not worked for you on a CX perspective.
I'm very curious to see the comments, especially Nairobians. I always say Nairobi is character development, Rosalie.
Yes, Nairobi is not for the faint-hearted. You will get the, let me put it, let me be diplomatic here, because you will get a very friendly culture, friendly people. But at the same time, if you are not street smart, you will also get the epitome of character development. So, those that have joined us on the stream, feel free to put any comment on the chat on, your experience, your CX experience. It can be you've ordered a cab. Maybe the driver came by drunk, or the vehicle was dirty, or you know uh, the driver found out that you are paying via credit card and they wanted to have payment cash, and the conversation went downhill from there. So feel free to interact with us on chat, and let's see what your experience on CX has been. We have a comment here from Amos who says, customer experience means a lot. It advises almost all my decisions when weighing between competitors. Why is it that some employees don't want to identify with a brand or employer? Good question, Amos. Why is it that some employees don't want to identify with the employer brand? It speaks a lot to the employee experience.
Indeed,
And the
indeed.
employee, it speaks a lot when it comes to the employee experience, because if your employees are not happy, if your employees are not feeling in tune with what the organization core values and behaviors are about, it could be as a result of poor leadership, it could be as a result of they do not have avenues to provide feedback, or whenever they have provided feedback, then it has always, ended up in a very negative light. So sometimes you will find that, someone does not want to be associated with their employer because whatever they are experiencing within the brand does not augur with what they are about. So in that case, it means that for me, my main takeaway from this question as a HR professional is, what are we doing on matters EX to ensure that, experience or the employee journey within an organization is pleasant? Because if the employee has a positive experience within the organization, as a consequence, their deliverables will also match. If they are unhappy, then you can be more than certain that your clients will not receive a positive experience. So,
Indeed.
yeah, Daisy.
No, no, I just wanted to add on to that, that sometimes you could find that it is the culture. And if it's culture, then ties back to um, HR in terms of building a good culture. I remember I had the one time I had the, I would say the, what would be the word? It's the opportunity to serve in one of the organizations during my corporate days as an
Mhm,
employee engagement officer. And just to answer what he's asking, you'd find there was a disconnect between staff and
mhm,
the brand. And how that would happen, you'd find the times the organization has pushed out maybe um, marketing marketing staff on radio or on TV, and us as the internal staff were not even aware. So at the point when we do realize there's an active promotion going on the radio and TV and the papers, and staff are not even aware, um, we had to sit back in HR and come up with a plan on how do we bridge the gap between staff identifying with the brand itself, because it starts with us internally even before we push out the product, because they are also our ambassadors. So I do know we had a campaign and we had to actually create that position for employee engagement liaison, and this particular office was in charge of bridging the gap between the brand and the staff, and also just trying to create brand awareness and brand identity with the staff. And so it involved working closely with marketing, working closely with PR, working closely with HR, and creating that message to staff. This is your brand, you own it, and get staff involved. So those are one of the ways that the disconnect where staff are not identifying with the brand, one of the ways that can bridge this disconnect where employees do not want completely to identify with the brand.
you have actually put forward a very, strong point when it comes to, silos within an organization where, there isn't synergy from one department to the next. It doesn't matter, for example, how good you design a certain, be it a process flow or an improvement. But if it is not deployed well internally, if people don't take, absolute, the intention to ensure that these silos are broken, then as you gave the example, one department will be running with a campaign, yet people are not aware. Clients will be calling, and people, staff will start becoming aware of the said campaign from clients,
Mm-hmm.
yet it should be coming from, the the employees are fully aware, and then
Yeah.
when the clients call, it is, chap chap.
Yeah. Yeah.
You really don't have to go, what are you talking about, if I can read one of the feedback that we have received on chat. Isaac says, I recently walked into a certain restaurant and sat down waiting for someone to serve me, and after over 10 minutes, one of the attendants walked in and was like, Sema, and looking disinterested. Personally, I think I would walk away. I think, I think personally, I think I would walk away because it just gets to show you that, the person is not keen on your business. The person is not keen on your patronage. If someone can have such an attitude, then it says a lot. We
Mm-hmm.
have Catherine that says she had a nasty experience when she paid for a product that was on a price list. only to find the product was out of stock. They
Ouch.
refused to refund and insisted that I must pick another product by force. I'm lost for words on that one. It just gets to know. It just gets to show you how, you know.
And that's exactly what I was saying, Rosaline, earlier, where
Mhm,
I was emphasizing the need for not only corporations or SMEs, but even individuals, even me as a small business owner, it's
mhm,
important for me to embed customer experience training
yeah,
for my staff,
mhm,
because honestly, there should be a refund policy. But when you say that, not pick something else, either there's a refund policy or you're trying to get me back to, a situation where I'm close to what I wanted to purchase or I have
mhm,
purchased. Um, you cannot be still stuck in the old school ways of having customer service instead of the experience, because honestly, waiting 10 minutes and then what I receive is SEMA. Why should I even sit down and give you my money? I worked hard for this money, right? And
mhm,
the little that, as I said, every human being thrives on feeling good, on associating with the good, on being made to feel important and valued. So
mhm.
when you're here telling me SEMA, I'm thinking, do you really want my business? Am I a bother? Um, so I think both small business owners, big business corporations should embed customer experience training, so that then it has actually it there's a basic customer experience policy in your organization in its most basic form that addresses such small incidents or scenarios where your brand could go south.
Absolutely. I think every organization should have a customer experience charter, and it pretty much tells the client what to expect in the event, what are the turnaround times in the event of a complaint or a concern, what is the, what direction should I take, what's the process for that, who should I reach out to. But most importantly, it doesn't have to be that complex. Even without a customer experience chatter, I think everyone needs to understand that, any person that you interact with, be it in the workplace scenario or as an employee on matters employee experience, or even when you're going by your day. For example, you've gone to the market and you're trying to get fresh supplies. How that person who's, the seller, how they communicate with you will determine if you really want to buy the necessities from them or not. Some are very welcoming, very forthcoming. Others are aloof, and they actually view you as a bother. So, however we interact on a day-to-day basis, I think everyone needs to understand that customer experience is not this huge jargon that is flying
Mm.
past with every passing day. It pretty much says, or CX is all an aspect or a matter of how am I, bringing out the positive, how am I impacting the next person. So, be it at the shop, maybe you're interacting with an M-Pesa attendant, or at the hospital, the customer service desk or the nurse's desk, or within the organization, be it your line manager, the HR department, whoever it is that you're interacting with, they are a resemblance or an example of what positive or negative customer experience is.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think then this could. I was thinking if we all could just put ourselves sometimes, put on the shoe of the customer, um, or not only the customer. There are two ways we can put ourselves, we can wear the shoe of the customer as the owners of the product or the owners of the service, so that then we understand what are the pain points or where we fall short and where we can um, create plans to rectify. But also, just maybe if you've been in a situation where you've had a nasty experience, I think this is just for the audience to think through. Could be the bank, could be the M-Pesa shop, could be supermarket, as you had earlier explained and was just highlighting. Today, my sugar is on this aisle, and tomorrow I come, it's on a different aisle. Uh, what would you do differently if it was the M-Pesa ladies or the Bolt drivers or the coffee, the Java coffee experience? Was it Java, or did I hope data protection will not kill me on this one. Could be just any experience. What based on your highs and your lows, what would you have done differently? I think maybe we could just invite the audience to reflect a bit, share some thoughts, a quick one.
So as we wait, see if any comments that are going to come through our chat. What can we do differently when it comes to customer customer experience? Whenever you've interacted. So, for example, I know M-Pesa attendance. You know very well if you want to do an M-Pesa transaction, you need to have your national ID as an identifier. So if then in that case you have everything that is needed and the approach is positive in nature, then the experience should be all right. But at the same time, I can also see why the ladies would need to be tough, or the attendants would need to be tough. Where, for example, someone is trying to do a fraudulent transaction. So they also need to be, they also need to guard their business. At the same time, it doesn't mean that all clients are positive. The interactions are positive in nature. Some people can be what is deemed nowadays as Karens. You know, it's all an aspect of me, 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 me. You don't want to listen to the other person that you are interacting with. And in that case, then obviously that interaction is not going to be positive in nature. So another thing that we would need to be wary of is how are we approaching a situation. Do we approach it with an open mind, and are we willing to listen to the other party, to what they have to say? It doesn't always have to be that someone is communicating, everything is positive and rosy. Sometimes the communication at hand can be of a negative, it's a negative feedback. So we need to be open minded to actually see the other person's perspective. I think one of the on the chat we have feedback here that says, I feel we need to utilize the set feedback mechanisms to advise changes and maybe improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Feedback mechanisms. How do we collect feedback? What do we do with that feedback? If we are making any changes, what is our communication, agenda? What is that blueprint when it comes to the communication, and are people clear on the changes? So that change management needs to be handled really well. And then improvement areas. Sometimes the toughest clients end up being your best advocates,
Absolutely.
because if you take a moment to listen to what they have to say, they will be more than happy to be very honest and blunt with you. Take that feedback and then think about it, where is it that we could have dropped the ball? And then what can we do to improve it? Because their concern might not be limited to them only. Probably someone else is experiencing it, but
Yeah,
not expressing it. And therefore, if you don't take that as an avenue to take the feedback and improve on the process, then we lose on an opportunity to improve that experience for not only that client, but existing clients and clients to come. Daisy?
absolutely. I think for me, just to add on to the feedback point, is that feedback is just not only data, it's direction. Because once you have feedback, one, it builds trust for me, the customer, that when I give my feedback, be it anonymous or be it, direct feedback, I feel that I'll feel I'm hard, for lack of a better word. I'll feel hard. And when I feel hard, then I feel um, I can trust you as my service provider or as the product that I'm interacting with. Feedback is also good because it leads to improvement. Yeah. Um, and improvements always ultimately means better product, better information, better communication. Innovation also comes in as a result of feedback. So I just want to agree completely with the person who mentioned it, that feedback is just not data. It actually gives direction, and we should actually be in the space where we continuously are receiving feedback. And I would say um, we I mean, feedback is just it's direction. Let's just leave it at that, and embrace it. Embrace feedback, because not all feedback is bad. Negative feedback is actually good feedback because it helps us improve.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough for joining us on this conversation titled "Customer Experience is Everyone's Job." A special thanks to those that have shared their thoughts on chat. We really appreciate the feedback provided, and we invite you to continue sending us comments or questions. I thank you for the patience. At the start, we had a tech glitch, and we really thank you for bearing with us. But at the same time, I thank you for your patronage. This is the second episode on the Unplugged with Ross webinar series. Daisy, thank you so much for being our guest panelist tonight. Very insightful feedback, insights on CX, and I believe we each walk away having learned a thing or two on CX and how we interact with people or how we can improve our interactions with other people and ensuring that every person that we interact with, they actually touch on critical touch points within the journey, the interaction journey. So thank you very much, Daisy. From me, yes, Daisy.
No, no, I just wanted to say thank you also for the opportunity. I would just want to leave the audience with one line or a comment from Maya Angelou, where she says, everyone might forget what you said to them, but I know one thing they will never forget is how you make them feel.
Yeah.
So if there's anything you want to take away with you, take away that people will remember how you made them feel. So let's continue to create wow moments, and any opportunity that you have to create a wow moment for your customer, whether you're a small business owner, whether you're an individual, it starts at the home front. Um, Customer experience starts at home. It starts with how I talk to my children, or how I talk to the house girl, or how I talk to the watchman. So start start today. Start even just with a smile in your email. Start with, be different, empathy, so that people remember how you made them feel. And thank you, Rosalind, for the opportunity. I really did enjoy this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Wishing you all a lovely evening and night ahead. Till next time, thank you for joining Unplugged with Rose for the grind, the growth, and the glow. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.